To the was it 19, 20,000 that showed up tonight, thank you. They just propel our guys to a different level. Something that, if you're talking about being dialed in, taken to the next level, those are the kind of performance that you want to see, where things are not going, the way you want them to go. We're down with like less than 4 minutes to go, but it looked like it was our go time. I thought our guys really turned up a notch on defense. We inserted Orlando Cook in the lineup, and I thought it was a big, big difference in the regulation time. And of course, then I thought in the overtime, we kept that momentum. But Tennessee, again, they're ranked for a reason. I think they're probably top 10 team, to tell you the truth. They got so many weapons on that team. You think Grant Williams, obviously he's a tremendous player, but how about the Admiral? I mean, he was unconscious early on. And then, of course, Bone, he has an unbelievable game for him. Then the kid came off the bench for him, James Daniels. I mean, he was outstanding. So Rick is a great coach. They were prepared. I thought they came in prepared. And I thought the first half went to their liking, 38 to 31. That's a game that's going to be in the 60s. And of course, ours is more in the second half. I thought we picked up the pace a little bit with our defense. And we're just fortunate to get in overtime. And once we got in overtime, our guys, they just wouldn't be denied. Had some outstanding performances from some individuals. Jalen Barford, I thought he was the guy that kind of kick-started some things for us. And then, of course, Daryl is right there, kind of like his partner in crime. And the guy that has been around for 4 years is Anton Beard. I think he's the guy that kind of he's the tough guy. He's the guy that kind of the common force out there on the floor. So it was good to see our guys go out and put on performance. I thought Daniel got his first taste of SEC basketball. We talk about the sense of urgency, how it goes up a couple of notches. The first half you could see, it's one thing to hear it, but then to go out and play against it. In the second half, I thought he was much more comfortable, and I thought he played big for us. So a good team win. Bench didn't play as great as it's been, but we relied mostly on the guys that started out the game. Again, great atmosphere, I'm sure, across the nation. Everybody got a chance to see it, and I'm proud of those guys. I'm proud of our team and proud of our fans. They're the best.
All right, we'll open up the questions.
Like, in a game where you're struggling in a lot of areas, how comforting is it just to look out there and see Jalen and Daryl at the guard positions and what they did in that game?
Well, we talk about, when you're talking about trying to go to that next level, you got to have guys who can make plays. So it's good to see them be in position to make plays. We didn't have some of the other things going for us, but those guys, they had the confidence to go out and make plays. And sometimes, mostly, it was just making plays in space, whether it be getting to the free throw line. We had the free throw lines, I think, four shots in the first quarter. And we end up, that's being the difference in the game. And we didn't shoot as good as I think we're capable of shooting, and it almost came back to haunt us. But it's good when you can have guys that can make plays. That makes a big, big difference.
Mike, you called timeout with I think 10.9 seconds left in regulation. What were you looking for coming out of the timeout when Daryl took the three? And obviously he disappointing, he missed it, but then he scored 13, didn't miss a shot or a free throw in overtime. What do you think is playing overtime, and what were you looking for coming out of that?
Well, coming out of that, I wanted the ball in his hand to make a play, whether he get to the, get inside or get a foul, get to the free throw line. I want the last shot, and so it was designed to put the ball in his hand. And of course, he's been shooting the ball well, so, it hit the back of the rim. We actually got a tip on it, too. I think C.J. hit it. And then, of course, the worst thing you're going to be in overtime. And a lot of times, the overtime the momentum continued, I thought, in overtime. And before you know it, defensive our guys were dialed in. We got some of their key guys in foul trouble. Williams was in foul trouble. I think the Bowen kid, he fouled out. So and Schofield fouled out. And we still had some guys that, they had foul problems, but they were still in the game. And I thought that was a big difference. But even with those guys in there, they wouldn't go away. They banked 3 threes. I looked up, I thought we was up 11 points at one time in overtime. And before you know it, they cut it to 2 points. But in these kind of games, you just want to find a way to win. And we did, whether it be in overtime or you just want to be on the right side of that column.
And the fact that Daryl scored 13 in OT, in 5 minutes he scored 13 points. What did you think of how he took over in overtime?
Well, that's Daryl Macon. We seen him do that. We seen him. He's capable of doing that. And I thought, our guys did a good job of really going through him. and some of it was on the open floor. Guys making plays for him, and others didn't get to the free throw line. We saw the same thing with Jalen Barford. I think he went on a run. You know, we talk about games and runs, but we got some individuals can go on runs, and so it's good to see. And that just tells you what kind of player he is. He's a very, very capable player, and he's getting better. I think that's what it says, Bob.
You talked about the second half that Gafford had. How big was that for guys like Jalen and Daryl to help open things up for them?
I thought it was big. I thought that was the big part of it. I didn't think we did a good job of going inside. I thought we relied on the perimeter, and therefore sometimes it just seemed like we didn't have that crisp ball movement that we normally had. But once we start going inside, it started putting their people in foul trouble. And before you know it, boom, boom, we're in the 1-on-1. So it was a big difference when you can have a presence out there and allow those guys to get in space and make plays for not only themselves, but dropping off plays for guys to score.
What adjustments were made to cut down the turnovers? I think you had 9 in the first half and just 3 the rest of the game.
We've been playing it, like I said, I just thought the nerves were going. Some of the passes we were making, we were making a long pass to Anton Beer like it's an alley-oop for him. And I think Darius had like 3. So it was just a combination of some individuals. I just thought the nerves were going early on. And Tennessee, to their credit, they're a good defensive team. And they were making shots, and I thought it energized their defense. That seemed like we only got 1 shot, in that first half. But in the second half, I thought it was a little different.
Yeah, Mike Cook only played 13 minutes, but you had him in there at the end of regulation and the overtime. What was he doing? Maybe that doesn't show up in the box score that you liked, and what was the reason you decided to go with him there?
Well, I kind of completely forgot him in the first half, and that's all I've been talking about him, because his play dictates he needs to be out there on the floor, because I think he's a guy that does all the little things, whether it be screening to get guys open, popping out to get the ball to reverse it, fixing things on defense. He can guard a guard, he can guard a forward, and if he don't get a rebound, he gonna knock it out. He gonna do something, and he plays with that edge that I like. And so I think he just he's one of those glue guys to make everybody else better, and I think he can play in big moments. He's experienced, so I like his experience, and we'll see him out there a whole lot more. I just thought we were in a much better flow with him out there on the floor.
Mike, I think y'all shut down Bowden from the 3-point line. What was the focus there, and how'd y'all do it?
Well, this guy was shooting 60-some% from the line, and we wanted to make sure he had to play defense on one side of it, but at the same time we identified him where he was and made him a driver. I think that was the key: make him a driver, make him a facilitator, because he's a guy that he's shooting it, and then of course now it leaves other guys open. At the Admiral, he's scoring. The James kid, the Daniel kid, he made some tough shots, and then like I said, the Turner kid, they made some shots going down the stretch. But again, it's the game is 20 minutes, not 40. It's not, well, today I always say it's 40 minutes, but it was 45 minutes, and to see some guys the minutes they played, that was I think Daryl played 41, Anton played 42, and that means they had to really dig deep. They really dig deep. But I thought our team kind of identified the guys we wanted to make them work. We wanted to make even Grant Williams work, and he's a workhorse for him. But again, we did enough to win the game. I think that's what it was. The time ran out on Tennessee, and literally did when you look at the score.
Mike, you guys were down almost the entire game in regulation, but did you guys have a feeling, hey, we're at home, we're going to find a way, or just kind of what were you thinking when Tennessee, they seemed to answer everything you guys did, they had an answer until the last, 3 minutes or so?
Well, you can see us surging every time. We get right there at a point, and then we'll miss a layup, or we'll not get a rebound or a loose ball, and then allow them to make those plays that you talked about. So I thought we kept coming, and then eventually we got over the hump, and because of our defense, and then we took the lead. It went back and forth there right till we got in overtime, and we ended up with the last shot. Our deal is not over. The game's not over till it says 0-0 on the clock, Bob. So we know we're a team that can really score in bunches. We got those kind of players. But it's got to start on defense. And I thought once we got stops, it allowed us to get the transition. We started getting the transition game going. We got guys getting to the hole and getting to the free throw line, and allowed us to set up our defense. So I'm one of those guys. I've seen so many games that can turn. You think 40. It's just like with 40 seconds to go in the game. We're up. I think it was almost 30-something. Maybe we're up 11 points. it can change, real. Trust me, it can change. So, so our guys continue to keep the faith in each other. I think they kept the faith in each other.
Anything else?
All right, Happy New Year to everybody, and go Hogs.